Today's Hiwatt Soundbite is all about field recording, archiving, and asking for your help. Well, am I ever excited about today's session? Totally inspired by a 25-year-old recording that I just sort of rediscovered on the weekend when I was digging through my Sony mini disc collection. Do you remember these things? Oh man, well this recording is part of a series that I used to call Roaming Samples, where I would literally just go out with my mini disc recorder and the external microphone and capture sounds. Now, of course, I would never encourage you to trespass, but the location that I put myself to capture this recording was definitely not open to the public. Check this out. Yeah, when I heard that under headphones, I was just floored at everything that was going on. And I started to imagine, if I sat down at my DAW using nothing but raw samples, would I even be able to recreate that? And if I were to be able to recreate it, how long would that take me with all of those effects going on and, the stereo image as those cars are flying by? I've sat down and started designing things from scratch at my desktop where, I stop and think about it. Probably would have been way more efficient and effective to just go out there and capture a bunch of sounds that would make sense for what it is I'm designing. So rediscovering this and many other recordings that are just blowing my mind sonically, yeah, it's absolutely inspired me to want to rededicate myself to this whole process of roaming samples. Time to get back out there and start building on that collection again. You've heard me talk about this in the past, but just how important this proprietary sample library is. What an incredible resource this is as a producer to have a bunch of original recordings that no one else has, that you can utilize in sound design, you can utilize them in songs. So this has inspired me to get back to field recording and my roaming samples. But it's also exposed a major issue in the world of field recording. We have lost all forms of a fixed recording medium. Have you noticed that all the new recorders record to a flash drive, right? To one of these SD or micro SD cards. What a great format this is for temporary file storage. But there's no way you can be archiving to this. If you record some amazing sample on an SD card, and then put that in a drawer and expect to open that drawer 20 years from now and pull that card out and put it in and have it readable, it's not going to happen. Those files are going to be corrupt. It's the basic nature of flash storage. It's not long term. Okay, so awesome. We have our Zoom recorder. We just went out and recorded the most amazing sample we'll ever capture in our whole life. What do you do with that sample today? This is the problem that I have is, of course, you're going to take that micro SD card or that SD card, you're going to load it on your computer and you're going to transfer those files to your hard drive, right? Well, then what are you going to do with it? This is absolutely freaking me out. It's just sort of a major issue that I see moving forward. I would love to see a manufacturer, particularly Sony, step up to the plate and sort of reintroduce a fixed recording medium again, something like a mini disc, if not the mini disc. Can you believe that this thing is 25 or 30 years old? That little disc in there is protected inside this case. It's probably one of the reasons it works so well. It is a brilliant format that is history. Now, I don't know if you've noticed in the past couple of sessions that I posted, but I've been playing DAT tapes that are over 30 years old in a DAT player. No problems. Those things play back like they were recorded yesterday. And that's the truth with my mini disc player as well. This digital recording is between 25 and 30 years old, and yet I can pop it into the Sony mini disc player and it just, boom, plays back like it was recorded yesterday. So this lack of a fixed recording medium, I just see as a huge issue for stuff like field recording. It sort of means that you're gonna have to turn into an organizational guru to stay on top of all this stuff. You can put all your samples on an external hard drive and stick it in a drawer somewhere, but who's to say that hard drive will even spin up 20 years from now? And certainly if you try and archive stuff to these flash devices, no way. Those things are good for maybe 10 years. So, this is a major issue. It's amazing that I've got these really old pieces of technology that still serve and work flawlessly. And yet we've sort of abandoned the whole idea and there's been no replacement. So I'm working on a long-term archival solution for my digital files. And right now that includes M-Disc and a Blu-ray burner, but I am all ears. I would love to hear some input and some feedback from the community on what it is that you're up to. I mean, are you putting all your files on that external hard drive, hoping that that thing spins up 30 years from now? Yeah, that's not going to work for me. I'm not going to be comfortable having all of my files sitting on a hard drive because just in my own personal experience over the years, I've seen format changes that are no longer accessible from new computers, all kinds of stuff. Part of my current solution involves M-Disc. This is a burnable disc that uses a totally different kind of technology, and supposedly it's going to be readable for 1,000 years. Based on what? Theory? There's no way that I'm going to exclusively archive all of my files to a format that supposedly lasts 1,000 years that was only developed a few years ago. Well, this is such an important subject and something that really has been brought to my attention over the last couple of weeks. You know, when going back and digging out those 30-year-old digital audio tapes that play back perfectly like they were made yesterday, the fact that we've replaced all of those technologies with something called Flash that only lasts for 10 years, would I ever love to see a manufacturer, and particularly Sony, reintroduce that fixed recording medium to the field recorder so that I could take that field recorder today, go out there and capture some amazing sound and be confident that I'm going to be able to access that sound 30 years from now, just like this 25-year-old digital recording.